till it's won. Soldier on, only you can do what must be done. You're going somewhere, you're not like me. You're just a prisoner, and you're trying to break free. I see the new horizon underneath those blazing skies. I'll be where the eagles flying higher and higher. Gonna be a man in motion. All I need is a pair of wheels. Take me where my future's lying.
After the excitement of the Cup last week, the Razzmatazz, Dewsbury putting up that excellent performance at home to Wigan, Workington Town putting up an equally spirited performance at Odsal against Bradford Northern. It's back to the reality of the league. Dewsbury first in the third division at home to Workington, currently in third place. Dewsbury just having lost 2 matches in the third division. Workington, they've been beaten 4 times. Team news is that Darren Rogers is out for Dewsbury, which means that Chris Squires reverts into the centre with Paul Hughes. Paul Delaney, back after injury, is back at standoff. 2 forwards on the bench for Dewsbury, Glenn Coghlan and Darren Fleary. For Workington, vastly experienced hooker Phil McKenzie. He's on indefinite loan from Widnes until the end of the season. He's in the hooking berth. Jed Byrne has his second game for the club at standoff. Byrne made his debut against Blackpool a fortnight ago, but he was cup-tied last week and so missed the clash at Bradford. That's big number 3, Tony Kay, just letting that ball go. Ian Scott tackled in possession for Workington Town. The referee for this afternoon's encounter is Mr. Valenti from Birstall. He couldn't have come much closer. That's a storming break. That's the big second row man, Colin Armstrong, ex-Carlisle Hull Kingston forward. McKenzie gets the ball infield to Scott. McKenzie, so effective, like an extra half-back around the dummy half position, and again puts the ball back for the kick into the Dewsbury 25. Nathan Graham, such a good game last week against Wigan, moves the ball to Dennis Bailey. The kick downfield from Workington. They're going to use the slope. The kick from the Australian fullback Mark Mulligan. Dewsbury being awarded this early penalty. Neil Kelly just over the head off Tony Kay. Workington really a rich vein of form before Christmas, playing so well against Wigan in the Regal. Since then they've slipped a bit. Defeats at home against Whitehaven in the Boxing Day encounter, and they've also lost at home to Keighley. A surprising result, that one, as Paul Worthy takes the ball up from skipper Neil Kelly. Worthy substituted in the first half last week. Shuttleworth ships the ball on to Glenn Bell. And Glenn Bell was another one of many Dewsbury players to play well in last week's defeat. To Shuttleworth, the long ball. Nathan Graham moving the ball on. Tackled in possession. Loose forward Greg Pearce started last week's game as substitute, but back at loose forward this afternoon with Glenn Coghlan on the bench as Nathan Graham comes in, and it's the big Fijian Pickering. He's had a storming season for Workington in the third division. Shuttleworth from acting half-back. Kelly, the chip into space for Rombo to come up, but the Australian fullback Mark Mulligan goes straight down the middle, and a furious start to this game, as you'd expect from this top of the table clash. Don't forget the teams meet again in a fortnight. It's back to Derwent Park. It's a solid drive, number 10 Peter Riley, Cumbrian County player. Phil McKenzie, the Australian, moving the ball through. Big Jed Byrne looks to Colin Armstrong. Colin Armstrong tried to slip that ball away from the tackle. Martin Aglambi, the play anywhere player at loose forward this afternoon, played in the backs, he's hooked, and good football, another member of Cumbria County player. The high ball is from Dean Marwood. Workington under the post, that's the start the Cumbrians wanted. The high ball, Marwood waited for what seemed an age then, put the ball up, the ball was hanging in the air right on the Dewsbury try line, under the posts. Dean Marwood, the leading goal kicker in the Rugby League. It wasn't a goal kick then, it was his high up and under indecision amongst the Dewsbury ranks. The opening score, Dewsbury 0. It was Phil McKenzie, 5 minutes, within 5 minutes of the game starting, the ex-Rochdale Hornets and Widnes player, the Australian who came over to England in the mid-80s, so long, and key member of the Widnes pack, Dean Marwood then. Ex-Barrow scrum half puts on the extras then, that's really set the cat amongst the pigeons. Workington Town 6 points in the lead. The try from Mackenzie, the conversion from scrum half Dean Marwood, one of a number of players who've moved up the Cumbria coast from Barrow to Workington. Tony Kay been another of that band. So Shuttleworth restart, Mulligan fields, and Mulligan brings in Peter Riley, one of the longest serving players in this Workington side, as Mackenzie, he's going to dictate things around acting halfback. Brings in Scott on that occasion, and again the dummy was to Pickering. That's Armstrong, a publican in Workington. Really Workington taking the fight to Dewsbury there, keyed up for this one, Martin Aglambi, and that's going to be a penalty to Workington. Paul Valenti saying that the player not released in the tackle. And it's the Mark Mulligan comes up from fullback, finds that position just outside the Dewsbury 25. The tap is from Mackenzie. The drive again is Peter Riley, and just almost getting through the first line of that Dewsbury defence. Untidy play the ball. Jed Byrne mops things up, vastly experienced. Started his career with Salford, was a pacey centre in those days, ex-Wigan, Wakefield Trinity. There goes Colin Armstrong, known as Buck, and really Workington starting this game in sensational fashion. Armstrong siding through, looking to lay the ball off. Test of character. Paul Worthy met by 2-3 Workington men. Scott in, Aglambi in, Dean Marwood in. Gary Cox, another outstanding game last week in the cup tie. He's had an outstanding season. Cox must be a leading contender at this stage for the Dewsbury player of the season. Shuttleworth moves the ball on. Glenn Bell struggling with the ball in his right hand, just looking for the slip, looking for the release. Kelly just pops it back for the left boot of Nathan Graham. Opposite number, Mark Mulligan. That ball stood up, and Mulligan attacking the ball. Mackenzie gets the ball in field. David Loden on the left wing this afternoon. He's played his share of rugby at full back as well as on the wing. Marwood gets that ball into Paul Burns. Paul Burns moving, Workington looking dangerous. Scott just tried to get the ball in field to Paul Penrice but couldn't. Tony Kay's attacking halfback. Dean Marwood misses out Pickering. The standoff is Jed Byrne. Jed Byrne goes solo, comes in, and a good tackle by Nathan Graham, but an excellent run. Standoff half for Jed Byrne, showing all his class. Tony Kay taking that ball, and Dewsbury penalised for offside. I don't think there was an advantage on then, because Jed Byrne had set up the position, and Tony Kay was moving ominously well when he got that ball. But Paul Valenti giving Workington the penalty. I think actually that would be in Dewsbury's favour, because The defence had been breached. Really was an excellent run by Jed Byrne there. I think probably the Dewsbury players thinking that Byrne's role this afternoon would be to ship the ball out to the players outside him, but Jed Byrne, 10 years or more in the game, really set off through the gap, and it took an excellent tackle by fullback Nathan Graham, one of Dewsbury's players represented for under 21 honours. It's Workington 6, Dewsbury 0. It's Dean Marwood, 24 yards back, slightly to the right of the upright. The ex-Barrow player has pushed that one wide of the post, so that's certainly a let-off for Dewsbury. Workington looking lively. The drop-out from Kelly, and that's unprofessional really, because Dewsbury committed the first sin, giving away the penalty. They've been let off with Marwood's kick, and they've given Dean Marwood a straight 25-yard goal-kicking opportunity. Pretty tight at the top of the goal-kickers list with Marwood and Fran Obotica of Wigan and John Wassilou, the Keithley wingman. All those players hitting the 100 mark. Marwood, his last one was fairly comfortable. This one, it's 25 yards and it's straight. The ex-Barrow player makes no mistake with that one. So just the start that Australian coach Peter Walsh would have wanted for Workington. Workington 8, Dewsbury 0. One of Walsh's first games in charge of Workington was when Batley played host to Workington. He couldn't believe the number of mistakes that Workington made in that game. But it's a vastly different Workington team now to the one that played back in October. The kickoff again finds Mulligan. Mulligan again brings in Peter Riley, and it seems to be in the early stages that Workington certainly having all the play, having all the ball. Scott again, he's been well to fore. We haven't yet seen much of the big number 8, Pickering. He's been the decoy runner on many of the Workington attacks. As Mackenzie, infield to Marwood, now comes the big Pickering. And in fact, Pickering losing that ball in the tackle. He probably thinks that the ball was wrestled from him. So the scrum goes down. Dewsbury's chance just to steady things down a little bit. To Shuttleworth. Finds Paul Delaney. Just missed that one match after playing at York. Missed the cup tie. Shuttleworth goes solo. Paul Delaney tackle. There's going to be a penalty for Dewsbury in this one. It was Mackenzie and Armstrong in the tackle. So this one is going to be a chance for a loose forward, Greg Pearce, to put Dewsbury on the scoreboard. Pearce came on as a substitute last week. He had the unsuccessful attempt to convert the try by Darren Rogers after Nathan Graham had missed a penalty midway through the first half. So Dewsbury, of course, playing up the slope in the first half. Pearce was the first choice Dewsbury goal kicker until he was injured in the Boxing Day clash with Batley, and horrific gash to his leg. But this one, it's 30 yards out. It's virtually straight in front. It's Dewsbury 0, Workington Town 8. The try to Mackenzie, 2 goals to Dean Marwood. Pearce strikes that one, it's high, it's true, the flags go up. Dewsbury on the scoreboard, Dewsbury 2, Workington Town 8. Excellent start to the game, a good crowd here at Mount Pleasant, and a game that really shows what 3rd Division Rugby League is all about. Still 6 or 8 clubs in for the 2 promotion places. As well as today's game, Keighley at home to York, Hunslet play Doncaster. A lot of things could change at the bottom of the table tonight. Certainly that looked to be a knock on Dewsbury taking an H to play that ball. It certainly looked from here as if Nathan Graham fumbled that ball, and looks like Mark Haig been thrown back over his own line. And Workington getting the initiative back, and it did look then as if the ball was knocked on, and Dewsbury was slow to react to that kick-off, and the Cumbrian pack threw them back. Mark Mulligan just tries to get on the outside of Paul Shuttleworth, the full-back, looking a lively customer as Mackenzie brings in Peter Riley again, and the Workington forwards, Riley and Scott and Armstrong, certainly running strongly, running the weight again as Mackenzie brings in that man Scott. A hard-working start to the game as Marwood, Jed Byrne again going. He looks dangerous, both running with the ball and when he looks to offload it. The acting halfbacks are Glanby. Now here comes Tony Kay, a thorn in Dewsbury's side. Remember the long distance try he scored uphill last season? That was when he played for Barrow. Dean Marwood, the clever chip. Nathan Graham just comes across and hits the ball dead. That's all he could do. It was a clever kick through from Marwood. Nathan Graham could do nothing except play the ball dead. The important thing for Workington is that it keeps the pressure on. The dropout from Kelly is high. Mulligan just thought about bringing in James Pickering then, but thought better of it as Marwood again brings on Scott, and Scott's met by a thundering challenge. That was Glenn Bell on the tackle. It was Mackenzie and Marwood and Jed Byrne and Colin Armstrong, but just as Colin Armstrong went into that tackle, the ball shot out and Workington penalised for offside. Colin Armstrong's played in the First Division. When he does go down, he's always looking to slip the ball away. Good forward both in the front and second row. Started his career at Carlisle before playing in the First Division with Hull Kingston Rovers. It's Nathan Graham's side then for the left-footed kick. Kelly and Worthy, two sub-forwards on the bench for Dewsbury in both Coghlan and the man of the match against Wigan last week. Darren Fleary, just then Bell stopped a bit as Shuttleworth brings in Gary Cox, but well tackled by Armstrong and by Jed Byrne. Delaney looking, but straight into the tackle, Glanby. Paul Penrice in from his wing to assist with the tackle. Kelly attacking halfback, the little swivel, but again, it was James Pickering read that one, came in, got the tackle in from behind as Delaney and Shuttleworth finds Chris Squires. Standoff last week, reverted to the centre with Squires and Hughes with Darren Rogers out. The kick is going to give Mulligan time, just going to watch that ball and just look for a minute as if it might not go dead, but watching it all the way. The quick tap is from Armstrong. Armstrong just bringing in wingman David Loudon. That's James Pickering. Dewsbury 2, Workington Town 8. Peter Riley, he's run strongly. This could well be a game of two halves as Colin Armstrong took the ball, and he really is running well, playing well. Oh, good Mackenzie there, just so often that Mackenzie made a lot of tries for Widnes on the last tackle when the kick was expected, as Glenn Bell goes hurtling into Dean Marwood, and in fact that's going to be a penalty to Workington because the touch judges come on the field. Glenn Bell was a little bit late on Dean Marwood. There was no pressure then when Eddie Rombo got the ball, but the touch judge has come on to report what went on. And certainly, as we suggested, Glenn Bell, late challenge there on Dean Marwood. Marwood then going to have a go. This is to restore Workington's 8-point advantage. It's the hardest kick he's had so far. 40 yards out. Just slightly to the right of the uprights. And the first substitution of the game is going to be made. Darren Fleary played just 60-65 minutes against Wigan last week, but did enough in that time to be chosen as man of the match. But Marwood kicking then. Strikes that one well, but again, that one's over. That's well struck, and you can't really afford to give penalties away against the league's leading goal kicker. It's going to be Mark Haig coming off, so Dewsbury going to get a little bit more weight on with Darren Fleary coming on. Workington 10 points to 2 in front. Dean Marwood's third successful kick of the afternoon. Paul Shuttleworth over the head this time, and Colin Armstrong just puts that ball in field for Peter Riley to run onto. Usually the kickoffs has gone to Mulligan. This time it's the loose forward, the former Glasson Rangers player, Martin de Glanby. The switch is from Mackenzie. The drive is from Pickering, and Pickering's shrugging off men. Certainly Workington looking to have time, running onto the ball, and there goes again Peter Riley looking for the slip. I think that one was a little bit ambitious. The ball's gone forward, but I think what it does show is the confidence that's going through the town side. Now Darren Fleary comes on. I'm sure he'll go in the second row eventually. He's going to take up the loose forward position at this scrum. As Shuttleworth comes round with the scrum. Shuttleworth finds Delaney and Squires looking to bring in support, trying to bring in Nathan Graham there, but nothing on as the Cumbrians cover quickly as Pearce takes the ball from Shuttleworth. But that's good defence. That's Pickering. That's Armstrong as well. 2 in at the tackle. Kelly, the switch to the blind side, and Shuttleworth comes up. Kelly. But again, the good challenge again. It's Pickering again in there with the tackle on Glenn Bell, and Workington certainly not giving Dewsbury time at all. Shuttleworth. It's the kick crossfield. Mulligan takes it. The fullbacks drop nothing so far this afternoon, and goes into the tackle off Cox and Delaney. In from the wing, Paul Penrice hasn't seen much of the action so far this afternoon. Mackenzie. Peter Riley. Again, Mackenzie, Marwood. Jed Byrne thinks of the switch to Armstrong, but puts the ball out. This time the Dewsbury cover well up. 2 men in the tackle. Glenn Bell well involved. Yeah. Jed Byrne, the man tackled in possession. Mackenzie. Colin Armstrong, the slip-aways to Scott, and good combination forward play by the Cumbrians again, supporting the man with the ball. Slipping the ball away from the tackle, trying to build. Workington 10, Dewsbury 2. That's again the high kick. That looks a little bit too hard. The bounce. And it goes dead. Certainly the next score in this match is going to be vital, because Dewsbury don't want to concede another score. It's Darren Fleary. First touch so far. Another Dewsbury player to be nominated for under-21 honours, Paul Worthy. Runs into the 3-man tackle. Shuttleworth again moves it back. Glenn Bell. 3 men in at the tackle all the time. Kelly. Shuttleworth. Dewsbury just looking a little bit stuck at the minute, stuck for ideas against a good team and a team that's moving up quickly. Kelly, the chip into space. Ball bounced nastily as Penrice eventually fields the ball, puts it back to his full-back Mulligan. This time Dean Marwood has a go, and into Cox, into Worthy, into Cox again. The Dewsbury props in combination, Tony Kay, but good tackle, he's the danger man. 4 tries in a game at Hunslet early this season. The dummy from Mackenzie. The standoff, Jed Byrne, still gets the ball away. Peter Riley. Paul Shuttleworth in at the tackle, covering the ball. Mackenzie onto the left, Marwood out to Colin Armstrong. Familiar figure with the white sweatband on, but Armstrong thrown back on that occasion. Mulligan, Worthy and Neil Kelly in on the tackle. Marwood then, the high one again. Tony Case roaming with intent, and I think the referee's going to penalise Tony Kay because the big ex-Barrow and St Helens centre said something out of turn on that occasion. I don't think he thought he was offside, but the man who matters, Mr Volante, he did. Kelly then finds touch. What Dewsbury need to do is get into the Workington half and play 5 or 6 tackles. It seems to have been all Workington pulling the shots in the first 25 minutes or so of this top of the table 3rd division clash. Dewsbury 2, Workington Town 10 as Cox from Shuttleworth. Shuttleworth. As Kelly turns the ball back as Pearce just did the only thing he could then, the Australian loose forward, went straight and went forward. Shuttleworth. And again, Workington caught offside. And Paul Volante has made it perfectly clear that players are going to have to get back the 10 yards. So again, it gives Dewsbury the chance to put the deficit back to just 4 points. Looking at the handicap lists for this game, there's a number of coupons gave Workington Town round about 4 points start. Also a couple of coupons had the game bang on 0-0. Still an awful lot of football to be played in this game. I think on the evidence of what we've seen so far, Workington Town certainly the best 3rd division team to have come to Mount Pleasant this year. It's Dewsbury unbeaten at home in the league, just those 2 away defeats, the Batley game at Headingley and of course the trip to Cumbria which saw them beaten at Whitehaven. So Pearce 30 yards out, this time just slightly to the left of the uprights. The cat calls won't affect Pearce, strikes the ball high. This time it just looked as if the flags were going to wave that, but that could be vital at the end of the afternoon. It still leaves Dewsbury those 8 points behind. The dropout. Fielded by the goal kicker. Pearce takes play to the Workington half. A Shuttleworth brings on Bell. That's a good run. That's 2 good drives from Pearce. Then Bell, the Dewsbury crowd beginning to rise, thinking that they could at last be getting into this game. The second row man at centre. Paul Hughes, 3 tackles gone for Dewsbury. Kelly infield. Shuttleworth feeling that Dewsbury are coming to life as Cox just looking for the slip, but the cover was good. Marwood and Byrne, the half-backs again, working it to the blind side as Fleary. Again, that's a strong run. That's much better from Dewsbury. Kelly again, putting the chip through, and it was the wingman David Loudon forced to gather that ball in his own in-goal area and run the ball dead. It was a clever kick through by Neil Kelly, looking for the following up ability of Eddie Rombo. So it's Workington under a little bit of pressure after the boot certainly been on the other foot for the first half of this game. The dropout again as Pearce, the man that set up that first Dewsbury 6 drives when he caught the ball from the dropout after he'd missed the ball, as Kelly finds Paul Worthy. Paul Worthy looking for the slip. 2 tackles gone for Dewsbury, centre field, 25 yards out. Kelly, Shuttleworth. The switch from Paul Delaney, but still just outside that Workington Town defence. The Cumbrians proving a tough nut to crack as Shuttleworth just moved it on one to Cox as Shuttleworth again, putting the long ball out to Paul Hughes. Gets the ball infield off Shuttleworth's foot, says the referee, as Pearce to Gary Cox, but Gary Cox well smothered and surrounded by the Workington defence. As Workington caught for offside now. Are they usually going to go for the goal or take the quick one? I think really at this stage of the game, you've got to try and get the points on the board. There's going to be a second half where Dewsbury are going to come downhill. But that last 5 minutes or so, much better play from Dewsbury, a lot more attacking ideas, running onto the ball and going forward. Credit to the Workington defence though, because they've covered in numbers and have managed to smother the ball. One thing that both this afternoon's sides have got in common, they have played Wigan in cup football this season. Dewsbury going down last week by 20 points to 4. Workington played Wigan just before Christmas. That was in the Regal Trophy, and again that was a tremendous occasion at Derwent Park, a tremendous performance by Workington before they eventually bowed to Wigan, of course, who then went on to lift the Regal Trophy the other Saturday when they beat Bradford Northern. Pearce then with his kick, 1 success out of 2 so far. Dewsbury 2, Workington Town 10, slightly angled to the right of the uprights, about 15-18 yards back. Pearce kicks, the flags go down. Again, that's 2 misses then for Pearce, 1 out of 3 then, and it's in hindsight, but at that stage of the game you really have to go for the goal. Probably if they'd known what was happening, they could well have been interested in taking the tap, but the game goes on. Dean Marwood then, with the dropout, going to put Dewsbury back in possession. Again, this time Kelly fields the ball and finds Nathan Graham. Looking for a position in the Workington half, and that was a good long dropout from Dean Marwood as Shuttleworth finds Fleary. Fleary just tackled inside his own half. Wouldn't be surprised to see the other Dewsbury sub, Glenn Coughlin, on the top. Good play from Kelly to Nathan Graham. That was good play by Kelly. Concealed the ball and found the runner, which was Nathan Graham. Dewsbury, as Cox just takes it to Workington, drives into that Workington 25. Out it comes. Shuttleworth puts the ball crossfield to Pearce. And Pearce, a bit of luck for Dewsbury, because that interception could well have come off them, but the ball was bounced down, so it puts it back. That was the first tackle as Fleary goes forward. The second gets the ball away for Shuttleworth, but Shuttleworth falls to that 2-man tackle. In fact, Cogner's going to come on now for Pearce as it goes really. Look, perhaps then to go to the wrong side. There were fewer men there where Dewsbury switched it to Fleary on the blind side as Kelly puts the ball to Shuttleworth to Delaney as it goes out to Squires. Just as the ball was looking to go to Eddie Rombo on the far side, the ball eluded the Kenyan winger. 14 try Eddie, couldn't add to his total then. It's going to mean that Dewsbury going to bring on their second substitute of the game. It's going to be Pearce to come off, which means another Australian loose forward. Glenn Coughlin is going to come onto the field of play. But whether or not those 2 missed goals have anything to do with the decision, we don't know. Of course, Dewsbury have Nathan Graham to fall back on, but there's no problem position-wise as Coghlan just goes into the loose forward position from Pearce as Workington win that scrum. Loudon took the ball from Marwood and Pickering picks the ball up. That's a tremendous breakout by Pickering from that scrum. In fact, he did well to be in that position because the scrum had just broken up and he took the ball on the second tackle. So the company has come to life again. Colin Armstrong. That's a good flick on Peter Riley. It was Glenn Bell, in fact, that got the flick on. But again, just the drives of the Workington forwards, Pickering and Scott and Riley. The chip is from Mulligan. And the chip really is, that was an excellent kick by the fullback. Picked his position, just chipped the ball over. The bounce did the rest, and into touch right by the corner flag. Dewsbury's head and ball. Paul Shuttleworth fainted as if he might pass, but I don't really think he ever considered it in that position at this stage of the game. One or two oohs and ahs. Was it a bit high on the Glanby on his opposite number, who is now the substitute Coghlan. As Cox takes that ball from Shuttleworth and puts the ball back, and in fact it's going to be Paul Worthy having to do the tidying up. Again, the idea right from Cox. Eddie Rombo, he hasn't seen the ball so far this afternoon. Just that one pass a couple of minutes ago which shot past him and into touch. The kick from Kelly. Again, good kick on a well populated far side. So within 4 to 5 minutes of half-time, in what really has been an excellent first half, keenly contested game, but Workington holding the upper hand at present. Workington's ball from that scrum goes through the half-backs, Marwood and Byrne, into the hands of Loudon. In from his wing, Byrne again. Moving the ball on. Coghlan comes across, that's a good breakout. That's the left centre for Barrow, Paul Burns. The first time he's really been in action this afternoon. As Jed Byrne tackled from acting half-back, it looks as if Paul Burns picked up a knock, then as infield it goes to Marwood. He finds Armstrong, and Armstrong again, as ever, he's trying to slip the ball away from that tackle. Marwood again moves the ball on, and that was obviously a little rehearsed move that Tony Kay was going to take that ball from Marwood. Tony Kay didn't agree with the forward pass decision. Shuttleworth then. Looks like the substitution is going to be made. Burns is going to come off. Looks like Kitchen's going to come on as Chris Squires, well wrapped up over there by Mark Mulligan. Delaney. Shuttleworth turns it back inside. The substitute Coghlan. Coghlan struggling forward, be looking for a big second half from the substitute, and Hughes will be given it. Now 2 or 3 minutes to go to half time as Kitchen replaces Gary Smith. Comes on for Paul Burns. Paul Burns, who went well. The left centre came down this right-hand touchline and just picked up a knock. So this is going to be a vital last 2 or 3 minutes of the half. A try here to Hughes would make a lot of difference to this game. So 3 of the 4 substitutes already on the field. Fleary and Coghlan on for Dewsbury. That's Fleary in possession now. Gary Smith just come on for Town. As Shuttleworth fans the long ball out, and Delaney just inside the Workington Town 25 as Dewsbury searching for this try. Kelly puts that ball on to to Paul Hughes. Certainly two big centres out here, both Paul Hughes and Tony Kay. Bigger than your average centre as Cox, the only way he knows, hard and straight and forward as Pickering uses him as a somersaulting ball. Kelly attacked in half-back, puts the little chip through, but again, that was well taken up, and that was a good tack. It was well taken by Mulligan, and also well tackled by Kelly as Armstrong thought about the pass. There was nobody coming, nobody running, so Armstrong used his experience to tuck the ball up his jersey and run it away. The loose forward, Martin Glamby, on that 25. Pickering, he's taking half the Dewsbury pack with him there, and showed a fair turn of pace when he made that long run from within his own 25. Again, that's a fair old tackle. Gary Cox forces the ball out. Paul Hughes picks it up, and give credit then, it was Gary Cox's tackle that forced the ball free again. So if Dewsbury do score here, they owe a fair lot to Gary Cox as Cleary driving for the line as Mulligan comes across and completes that tackle. Workington under the cosh then, but Workington 10, Dewsbury 2. Shuttleworth puts the ball out. Delaney on the far side as Squires finds Nathan Graham, does a bit of juggling, but across comes Colin Armstrong and throws the full back down and backwards, and it's going to be another penalty for holding down in the tackle. Colin Armstrong not letting Nathan Graham get to his feet. Now then, decisions. What do we do? It's a tap and away. Kelly, Shuttleworth, the long ball. Delaney thinking about the delayed pass, and Delaney still going, brushing men off. It's Martin Aglamby, the loose forward, comes in, makes the covering tackle after Delaney had bounced out a number of tackles as Cox again been swung around like a rag doll. There goes the hooter. It's been a good first half, but it's Dewsbury 2, Workington Town 10 as the game still goes on. The ref hasn't heard the hooter. Eventually the ref hears it. Dewsbury 2, Workington Town 10. It's often said at Mount Pleasant you can never really get to tell how the slope's going to affect the game. Workington certainly in the driving seat. 10 points to 2 up at half-time, courtesy of the very early try by Phil McKenzie. 3 goals from Dean Marwood against Dewsbury's solitary points. The penalty, which came from Pearce, who now substituted in favour of Glenn Coghlan. Darren Fleary cops what was a high tackle. It looks like Gary Smith, who, in fact, it's Kitchen, the Workington substitute, who's come on a couple of years ago. A lot of talk about this pair of up-and-coming young halfbacks in Workington. That was Kitchen and Weir, who's now gone on loan to Halifax. And that was a high out challenge on Darren Cleary. Hopefully he's to his feet. That's a good left-footed kick by Nathan Graham. Two balls on the pitch. Dewsbury then just on the halfway line as Kelly misses out Cox and then finds Shuttleworth. Delaney misses out Graham and finds Hughes, who gives Dennis Bailey an early touch of the ball, and sensible play by Dennis Bailey then. If he'd gone on the outside, he'd have been forced into touch, and Workington been penalised for holding down in the tackle. And I'm sure that Dewsbury Kelly just going to pump the ball further down that touchline. So Dewsbury at the start of the half have come straight from 25 to 25 via those couple of penalties as Kelly threatens the switch to the blind side and gives it to Cox, and Cox was almost slipping the ball away in the tackle. Coughlin on the decoy run, then the other prop, Worthy. Two drives gone for Dewsbury. Within 8 yards or so of the Workington line as it goes to Delaney, and Delaney puts the ball back into Glenn Bell, but Pickering is there, Armstrong's there. Kelly again out to the blind side to Delaney and Paul Hughes. Certainly can't be far off the line on the far side, but again good defensive play by Workington as it comes Kelly, Shuttleworth and Fleary, but that's a good tackle. That was Kitchen, got the tackle in as Fleary really was moving. Shuttleworth going solo. Held up 2 or 3 yards off the line, and again, good option there by Paul Shuttleworth, just expecting the kick and prepared to take them on. So a lot of the talk at half-time was about the power of the Workington pack, how well they've played in the first half, but would they last the pace coming uphill in the second half? That's the loose forward, Martina Glanby. Tries for Dewsbury to meet them, but one feature of the Workington game in the first half was the way the forwards quickly cleared the lines, taking the ball on the run forwards like that man, Colin Armstrong. Into Delaney. Into Fleary as Marwood moves it on to Jed Byrne. James Pickering. To Coughlin and Kelly in on the tackle. Back it goes. Fullback Mulligan. Dennis Bailey, the crowd on the long side willing him to drop it, but Dennis Bailey struggling and almost getting free. It was Martina Glanby that just flicked him down from behind. Paul Worthy. Gary Cox. Again, had another tremendous game this afternoon, as he always done, as he's done all season. Infield it goes, Kelly and Delaney and Shuttleworth. Back again, Paul Delaney just thought about the long one, but had he thought about the long one, the interception was on again. Shuttleworth. Coughlin out on that far side. That certainly looked a little bit forward from our vantage point up here. That last pass, which is from Hughes to Dennis Bailey. Kelly, now the kick's going to come. That's high, but too long behind the post, and Workington chance to regroup, regather, and just see what these big forwards can do. That time it's Pickering, but not going far, just as far as Gary Cox, and Cox again makes the tackle, and again Cox's tackling's given Dewsbury the ball. That was once it happened right on half-time when a meaty challenge knocked the man backwards and knocked the ball out as Kelly in possession finds Delaney, and Shuttleworth straightens, goes himself into that Workington 25 as it was at half-time. Dewsbury 2, Workington Town 10 as Kelly switches the ball back. Glenn Coughlin riding tackles, but he's not going to ride that one. That was a good man and ball and all tackle. That was a good challenge on Coughlin as Delaney's got Cox with him, and Cox struggling to get the ball out, which if Peter Riley just took a knock in that little movement, as again Shuttleworth, the long ball out is Kelly. Inside it goes to Coughlin. Coughlin turns it back. Nathan Graham tackle by Tony Kay from behind. Colin Armstrong in front. Kelly puts the slip back, but it's into Workington hands. And it's Workington pinned back in their own 25-yard line, and just relying on these one-man drives. That time it was a standoff, Jed Byrne doing the work of a forward, but this time it's the substitute. That's young Kitchen, well-known rugby league name in Cumbria. Phil Kitchen, former player, Great Britain player indeed, and also coached at professional level. As Dennis Bailey did the right thing then, Dennis. He thought initially that he was going to take that ball, and he was near the touchline, and he took the safest option, which was let the ball bounce in and give Dewsbury the head and ball. He's often saying these games, very much so, the next score is going to be vital. If Workington were to add any more points, it would make it tremendously difficult for Dewsbury to pull this game out of the fire. For another score for Dewsbury, and the game's right back in the melting pot. Dennis Bailey from the scrum, Shuttleworth, Coghlan into Kay, into Jed Byrne. Coghlan struggles to his feet, the ball comes out to Shuttleworth as Glenn Bell just bulldozes Scott out of the way and slips the ball back. Squires flicks it back to Delaney, and Delaney just looked for a minute as if he was going to go clear. It was Martin Glanby that effected the tackle at the death as Shuttleworth puts it back to Kelly. Dewsbury just trying to create something out on the right. Paul Burns came in on that occasion as Cox. From Shuttleworth's pass. Kelly again. Not the best pass in the world, but Fleary retrieves it. Just needs to get a little bit of space to run into. Gets the ball back as far as Nathan Graham, but Nathan Graham no option then. He was been thrown into touch, had to try and keep the ball in play, and it was a 50-50 ball. He threw back inside, and the 50-50 went Workington's way. Pickering. Again, that's another marvellous tackle. Again, it's Gary Cox. Who else? Again, Paul Burns. 10 yards inside the Dewsbury half. Goes through Marwood, through Jed Byrne. Pickering waits at acting halfback. The kick from Mulligan. Dennis Bailey had that ball and came out of his hand. He looked to have gathered it safely, but Dennis Bailey puts it back to Eddie Rombo, and Eddie Rombo well held on his own 25, centre field. Dewsbury 2, Workington Town 10, and Shuttleworth. Again moving on, but again the cover. Workington there in 2s and 3s, but Simon Paul Burns went off in the first half to return. He's going to have to come off for good. Gary Smith comes back, so we've all 4 subs on the field of play at present. Smith and Kitchen for Workington, and Fleary and Coghlan for Dewsbury. Kelly misses out Worthy, finds Shuttleworth. Shuttleworth finds Delaney, and across it goes to Coghlan. And Hughes finds Dennis Bailey, and Dennis Bailey finds Coghlan. That's a pity for Dewsbury because it was enterprising play, moving the ball from right to left on the first tackle, and unfortunately the ball just coming out of Coghlan's grasp. Colin Armstrong had a good game. Pickering, Squires and Kelly in on that challenge, and Worthy and Squires as in it goes as Marwood moves it on to Riley, and Riley was just looking for support. It was Jed Byrne who was going up on that occasion. This time it's Colin Armstrong, but he's been held and then he's been driven back. I think it was Paul Worthy with the pile driver. Mulligan, this time straight into Dennis Bailey. And Dennis Bailey taking that one, then been manhandled, thrown to the ground as Coghlan. Again, another high challenge. I think it's probably Jed Byrne on this occasion. It's going to be spoken to. Colin Armstrong's across. It's Byrne, and certainly in this half, Dewsbury must have had 5 penalties in the first 10 minutes or so. What Dewsbury need very much is some points on the board in this next 10 minutes or so. As Kelly puts it into Bell, but that was a good low tackle on Bell. Kelly again going forward, puts the long ball out, and it bounces kindly for Paul Delaney, and Paul Delaney tackled by substitute Kitchen. Kelly. That's Hughes, the centre, goes strong and goes hard. But again, Glanby went low. Colin Armstrong did the smother. Well picked up by Shuttleworth on the half volley. Delaney finds Fleary. Fleary steps and moves the ball on. Nathan Graham into the line. Dennis Bailey's going to have to step in. Again, it's all he could do, had to step in before being thrown over the touchline on that far side. In it comes Shuttleworth, the long one. Delaney finds Kelly. So again, that wasn't a good ball, and it's retrieved for Workington. Mulligan. Gary Cox tackled James Pickering. Fleary gets in behind, but Pickering's standing up in the tackle, looking to offload. Again, that's good play by Workington, bringing the ball away, going forward and looking to slip the ball all the time as Marwood. Glanby taking the tackles there. Worthy's upstairs. As out it comes. Jed Byrne, Colin Armstrong. Again, good smother. Worthy doing the clamping business. That's a kick into space. And again, the kick and the chase. The follow-up was good. It's forced Dewsbury back behind their own line. I just wondered if Workington might have gone towards the post, perhaps looked to put over a drop goal, but if you can land your kicks in the in-goal area and effect the tackle, you've got the ball for another 6. And that's a decent drop out. It was over Peter Riley's head for Mark Mulligan, just outside his own 25. And the Australian, he's had a good game at full-back, both kicking and running. Hasn't had a lot of one-to-one to do defensively, but Tony Kay takes up the challenge and gets the ball in field, and Dewsbury have to do some desperate defending. 2 tackles gone as the Cumbrians, with the big following, come to life again. Jed Byrne turns it back. Martin Glanby just outside that Dewsbury 25. Kitchen. Mulligan in again. Tony Kay was just going back a little bit when he took that ball to Dewsbury, quickly up on the cover. Mulligan going forward. He's certainly looked to danger, and that time he just tried a little bit too hard, lost the ball and allowed Nathan Graham to get that ball, but that really was a risky pass. It was from Glenn Bell back to Paul Shuttleworth, and it didn't come back, so advantage back with Workington. Marwood. Mulligan brings in Tony Kay, and Tony Kay goes out of Hughes' tackle, and the defence has to scramble back across. It was Paul Delaney in at the big centre. As Workington, these 2 tackles gone, trying to build on this 10 points to 2 advantage as Marwood. Colin Armstrong driving. So I'm sure Workington going to try and fan the ball out now as Mackenzie, the blind side he loves. Pickering goes. I think that's 4 tackles then. Marwood, Jed Byrne thinks about the pass inside, looks to get Mulligan over, but to referee Paul Volante on the spot rules the forward pass, but it was a nice bit of sleight of hand by Byrne as he tried to ease Mulligan onto that pass and through the gap. He managed to do so, but good positioning by Paul Volante. Shuttleworth. I think that as a scrum must contravene the Trade Description Act, as do 99% of the scrums these days in the game. Maurice Lindsay here this afternoon, following the dismissal of Fred Lindop. Interesting to see if redundancy, shall we not say dismissal. Fred Lindop made redundant. Interesting to see if Maurice Lindsay wants to do anything about the scrums. As Shuttleworth brings Dewsbury to life. Well tackled by Mulligan. Dewsbury then, badly needing a score. Delaney, the ball out, misfires. Just couldn't take that one. I think it bounced off his chest, then went forward into the hands of the wingman. That was David Loudon. So Workington replying, really has been a good game, end to end, certainly, whatever the result, been a credit to both teams and a credit very much to the third division Marwood. James Pickering. Paul Worthy with the tackle. Again, Marwood out on that far side. It's Tony Kay. Jed Byrne again, moving the ball on Peter Riley. Jed Byrne attacked in half-back. The ball back for the kick, that's a good one. It's going to keep the pressure on Dewsbury head and ball, which means of course Dewsbury should get the ball, but from a Workington point of view, the pressure is on. The game's been played in the Dewsbury 25, and more importantly, Dewsbury 2, Workington Town 10. Shuttleworth, Eddie Rombo. Again, Workington giving Eddie Rombo no space at all this afternoon. Coghlan, good run by the loose forward, and the support which is from Delaney. The tackle from Mulligan. Delaney lost the ball and Workington are off. Mulligan going up the far side, and Dennis Bailey comes back, and Mulligan going to the line, and Dennis Bailey just throws him back. That was desperate play, desperate defence by Bailey on Mulligan. As Mackenzie got support with it, if he can get the ball out, slips it back as Marwood puts the ball out. Back the ball. Referee Volante, I think I'm going to say that one was forward, but certainly was a tremendous chase. It was Mulligan versus Dennis Bailey. Dennis Bailey actually pushed him forward at one stage before eventually having enough pace to get back to him and pull him back. That was after Dewsbury broken out in good style through Paul Delaney. Nathan Graham into Jed Byrne. Dewsbury will need this scorer in the wrong 25. Was Fleary swinging round but couldn't get the ball out. Worthy. Bone shoving tackle on the number 8. And Gary Cox, Tony Kay on the ground, and Jed Byrne's done his share of tackling this afternoon as Dewsbury moving it crossfield as Glenn Bell just can't get in the slip. One or two of the Workington crowd crying for obstruction. In fact, it's a knock-on given. Glenn Bell losing that ball in the tackle. Dean Barwood then from the scrum. Well policed by Fleary and Delaney. Pickering so mobile again, he's up there, and the prop's taking it forward on the second Second tackle, Byrne again, puts it left, Marwood, a Glanby, and just standing up. Workington can afford to hold the ball, can afford to take the time. They don't have to force anything, they don't have to do anything daft. Colin Armstrong, the big forward, strides through. If he can get the support and the ball comes loose, we're going to go down for a knock-on, but again, that was good play. It was good support play, forwards like Armstrong going into the tackle and then showing them able to offload the ball in the tackle. And I think Workington there were one pass away from a try. So Dewsbury can't get out of this 25 at present. Shuttleworth finds Delaney. Tony Kay quickly up with the tackle. Dewsbury just out of their own 25, but progress is hard, and Shuttleworth trying to relieve the pressure with a kick. Then Mark Mulligan's got space and got time. David Loudon comes across as well, but it's the Australian Mulligan who takes it up. But that's a good tackle. It was Chris Squires, copybook leg tackling. Yes, that was an interesting period of play then. Good refereeing, because Paul Volante looked at his touch, judge. The Workington man looked to go down without anybody really going near him, and the referee didn't see him, and Paul Volante looked towards the touch judge, and the touch judge said no, nothing happened, which is certainly the way I read it from up here. And Workington gonna restart with the ball. It's the fullback Mulligan going back. Colin Armstrong's having a word, and the game goes on. Phil McKenzie, the blind side he loves so much, and into Fleary, into Rombo. Halfback is Loudon. Infield it goes. Marwood, Jed Byrne, Martin Aglamby struggling towards the halfway line, and again just moving the ball on one, and the Cumbrian forwards going hard and straight as they've done all afternoon, and Colin Armstrong well met, but he still manages to get the ball away to loose forward Aglamby, and he slips it back. Substitute Kitchen, take from behind by Coghlan. As the chip again from Marwood comes through, and Eddie Rombo did well. Then he managed to shrug off again as Eddie Rombo crosses his own 25. Eventually goes back, but Eddie Rombo did well there, because he actually took that ball behind his own try line, and we all remember the try he got at Hunslet. But again, it was a good kick from Marwood, just forcing Dewsbury back. 1 or 2 oohs and ahs as Pickering in at the tackle as Bell ships it on, and Dewsbury trying to throw the ball about as Fleary runs into the two-man tackle of Penrice and of Jed Byrne. Cox. Dewsbury badly needing a bit of inspiration from somewhere or somebody as Kelly chips for Nathan Graham to follow. Workington go back and cover it. It's going to be something unusual that unlocks the Workington defence. Substitute Gary Smith was the man who covered that ball, and the first time for a number of minutes that players actually been down in the Workington 25. There was early Dewsbury pressure at the start of the half as Jed Byrne looked to catch one from Gary Cox on the way through there. McKenzie moving the ball on again. Kitchen tackled by Worthy and by Cox. Here comes McKenzie again, making play, gets the ball away to his support. Good play from Workington. Kitchen, out it goes on that far side, and Gary Smith again in the play. That was good play again, good combination play. The kick again from Marwood. He's keeping the tap turn on all the time, kicking to the corners, just not allowing Dewsbury to escape. I said at half time, this game reminds me a lot of when Dewsbury played Barrow last season. Very similar sort of game. Dewsbury unable to break free of the shackles. No points as yet in this second half. Dewsbury 2, Workington 10. Just one try that came so early on. A soft try, but they all count, that gave Workington the 6 points as Eddie Rombo gets the ball, but still going, looking for his support, and a couple of glimpses of Eddie Rombo in this last 2 or 3 minutes, but he needs a bit of time, needs a bit of space. Delaney again moves the ball on. Gary Cox. The ball ricochets back, and Paul Volante giving the knock on, which was just about fair there because he hit a Dewsbury man, ricocheted forward and hit a Workington man, and then came back. But Dewsbury given the put-in when it looked as if Dewsbury had committed the original offence. Shuttleworth tries the blind side for a change. Dennis Bailey. Certainly Workington have given these wingers no space whatsoever. Again, a good solid challenge. It was a solid run by Worthy. The challenge was even more solid as Shuttleworth moves it cross field. Can Dewsbury pull something out of fire? Nathan Graham attempting to come across, but the man and ball tackle stopped him as Shuttleworth again. Glenn Bell, Gary Cox. Cox, the man who usually does the hard tackles, he takes a hard one himself there. Coghlan bursts through. Has he got support with him? Dewsbury then into the Workington 25 for the first time for about a quarter of an hour actually. With the ball as Shuttleworth moves it on. Delaney got men outside as Nathan Graham goes. Nathan Graham perhaps should have given it out to Eddie Rombo. 6 tackles, so Workington will turn the ball over right on their own line. It was a fair old scramble down there. Looks like Paul Penrice plays it back. Eddie Rombo at the challenge. So Dewsbury coming to life once again when it looked difficult for a period to know where the next break was coming from. James Pickering. Nothing fancy now, just hard, unspectacular graft, taking the ball forward. Next man in, Colin Armstrong. Tony Kay comes in from the centre, take a bit of pressure off the foes, he's lost the ball. Then got it back, then knocked on. What's the referee going to give? Looks like a knock on. No, he's given a penalty. He's penalised Tony Kay then for pinching the ball. Now then, 10-2 to Workington. The goal would have made it 10-4, but Dewsbury opting to go for the try. As Fleary inside that Workington 25. Kelly goes himself, now looks for support. Coghlan looks as likely as anybody to make a break for Dewsbury. In front of the post, Shuttleworth got the runner with him, is Bell. Bell going striding into the tackle, again gets the ball out. Delaney did well to take that ball, it was bouncing all over the place. Kelly again thinks about going to the right, then fans the ball cross field. Fleary steps back inside, bumps one man off. Kelly, out it goes. Shuttleworth, the long ball. But again, that was disappointing, the ball bouncing. Hughes and Bailey waiting, and it was straight into the hands. It was substitute Gary Smith, so Workington breathe again. Again, 3 tackles gone. Gary Cox in on the other Gary. That's the Workington substitute. Gary Smith, the substitute, is Kitchen. That's a good break. That's a good relieving break. Again, just as Tony Kay came in. Here comes Mackenzie again. Then turns it back. Jed Byrne tries to get his pass out. Mackenzie, the instigator of so many witness tries. Marwood, Armstrong. The slip, Marwood off Armstrong. The scrum half comes to Nathan Graham. The scrum half almost breaks free. Gets his support. The long ball comes out on the far side. That's going to be the one that settles it. That finishes the game. That takes the points back to Derwent Park. It's the wingman David Loudon who took the long pass and went over in the corner. The build-up was excellent. It was Marwood, Armstrong, Marwood again. The long pass eventually came out to the wingman who's played at full-back, David Loudon. One of the easiest tries he'll ever score. All he had to do was catch the ball, take it forward. That try, Dewsbury 2, Workington 14, and certainly the score reflecting the game very much this afternoon. Workington got just the start they wanted, those 6 points, and I think really most fair-minded people on the ground this afternoon will agree that Workington have been far and away the best team. Dewsbury badly needed a score at the start of this half if they were to get back into it, but that really was a quality try. Forwards and halfbacks combining, Marwood and Armstrong. David Loudon, he had the easy thing to do, catch the ball and touch it down, which he did. Dean Marwood for the icing on the cake. Greg Pearce going to return for Dewsbury. Marwood strikes it, but that ball to the left of the upright. I suppose from a Workington point of view, it would have put Dewsbury more than 2 converted tries behind. As it is, Dewsbury needed 2 tries, both converted to get level. Looking at the clock, I would think probably around about 13, 14 minutes left. The kickoff then is Shuttleworth into the Workington 25, and certainly a big following. I think it's a long time since I remember as many people coming down from Derwent Park to follow their favourites. As last season the teams didn't meet Workington with York in the second division. They of course came down, but on this form, one place they're going, that's back into the second division, and Colin Armstrong. And really the man who's played his first game has had a good game today for Workington. Phil McKenzie done a lot of damage with his running from the acting half-back role, and in fact it looks as if both Dewsbury substitutes are going to re-enter the fray. That's going to be Mark Haig and Greg Pearce. They're going to come on in place of Glenn Bell and Paul Worthy as Norman Smith's last fling to attempt to get something out of this game. No game for Dewsbury next week, but 2 weeks' time we have the return up at Derwent Park. It's the second round of the Silk Cup Challenge Cup last week. Mulligan kicks as he's done all afternoon. Nathan Graham finds Dennis Bailey. Dennis Bailey tackled. It was Armstrong, the man in that tackle, as Paul Volante penalises. That sums up Dewsbury's afternoon. Nathan Graham taking the quick kick for touch, but just putting the ball in the hands of the try scorer, David Loudon. 8 minutes left, and as David Loudon tackled by his opposite number, Penrice from acting halfback, runs into Fleary, runs into Rombo, and somebody's going to be pulled out here. It looks like Darren Fleary's enthusiasm's got the better of it there. And certainly penalty is going to go to Workington. I could well say that Dean Marwood is going to have a kick of goal. Of course it would take up a bit more time. And it's certainly been a hard game this afternoon, but it's been a fair game, and Workington have certainly shown the rest of the third division their promotion credentials as the 2 Dewsbury forwards leave the field of play. Paul Worthy and Glenn Bell. Mark Haig and Greg Pearce back on, and Workington not bothering with the kick at goal. Dean Marwood taking a place kick for touch, which of course is well within the rules, and Workington probably feel that that last try really dented Dewsbury. They probably feel that they can finish off with another score, as here comes Pickering. It's the first time I've seen the big number 8. Read plenty of good reports about him all season, and he's lived up to that this afternoon, and certainly a number of Workington players have had good games. That man in the action there, the standoff, Jed Burns, played well Dewsbury player ended up with that ball on the ground, but the referee ruled it was a knock-on. It's Dewsbury's ball at the scrum. Can Dewsbury register a try before the game's out? As Paul Hughes crashes forward. Shuttleworth. Mark Haig take off after 4 hours or so of the first half. He should be refreshed. Kelly trying to work a bit of magic on the far side as Hughes puts the ball in. I think that was Paul Delaney. The tackle was from Pickering. Again it comes the long pass. Another man back on is Pearce, but he takes the ball back, and again the pass was high. Paul Hughes couldn't take it and just managed to flick it back in the direction of the substitute on the right wing, who is Gary Smith. Tony Cave. Tackle by Pearce. The Workington fans getting behind their favourites. There's still a lot of rugby to be played in this third division, with Dewsbury having to go to Workington. Dewsbury having to go to Keighley as Colin Armstrong strives manfully into the half. Here comes Pickering again. That's a big drive. He's taking men with him as he goes forward, as Marwood puts the ball. Jedburn, window cleaner in Wigan, former Wigan St Patrick's amateur player. Dean Marwood. Mulligan, the drop goal attempt. Did it hit a Dewsbury man? In fact, it goes. I just wondered if it had struck somebody in flight, but that was a good drop goal by Mulligan, really. It was a fair way out. Like I said, the lead, there isn't the pressure as such, but it was well struck. I just wondered from a click as if it had actually touched somebody in flight, but referee Volante's nearer than us, and further extends the lead at 15 points to Workington, 2 to Dewsbury. That's Gary Smith. Mackenzie again, such a good football. It really is like playing 3 half-backs. He's always had a fair turn of pace, and it's thought early in the season Mackenzie to spell at Rochdale. It was rumoured that Halifax were after him as well, but now at the recreation card, and he could well be an ace in Workington's pack as they attempt to break up, as they attempt to go. That's Jedburn. Marwood, it's like Kitchen, just trying to get the slip away. Didn't come off on that occasion, but 2 minutes or so to go, and we talked at half time about what effect the slope had have, and the slope really just hasn't altered the game at all. Dean Marwood penalised. Dewsbury trying the drop-off move from that scrum, where the loose forward and scrum half make the extra man on the blind side, and Marwood knocked the ball down. But in rugby union you get a deliberate knock on. That Marwood penalised there. He was set to be offside as Dewsbury fanned the ball infield. It goes through Shuttleworth. It goes through Delaney and Coglan. That's a good break. I said earlier, if anybody's going to make a break, it's going to be the substitute playing at loose forward as Paul Delaney. The drop goal means that even 2 converted tries for Dewsbury wouldn't be enough. I'm sure most fans settle for 1 just to restore a bit of pride. Crossfield it comes as Kelly switches it back, and Coglan works so well with Kelly, likes to come off his skipper's passes as they try against Batley as Delaney again. Pearce, that was a good ball. Nathan Graham came in under the late pass. It was a good ball. The tackle was even better. It really was a good man and ball tackle on Nathan Graham. As you get the idea that it's one of those afternoons where really everything Dewsbury tried, nothing's come off, but take nothing away from Workington. A splendid all-round team performance led by a big pack. Armstrong, Pickering, Riley, Scott, Mackenzie, that man there, the loose forward, Martin and Glanby. Really all of them have played well. Dewsbury forward pushing him back on that occasion, but at this stage it's all academic. I'll be having a word with Pierce there. Tony Kay, haven't really had a chance to see the big long striding centre get clear this afternoon. That Kitchen, there goes the hooter. The end of it's been an excellent third division match. Dewsbury 2, that was the goal to Pierce in the first half. Workington 15 tries to Mackenzie and Loudon, 3 goals to Dean Marwood, and the late drop goal by Mark Milligan. An excellent win, an excellent team performance by Workington, and it all starts again in 2 weeks' time at Derwent Park.